Match-fixing allegations rock Hong Kong football. Ricky Wong plays down worries over China Mobile deal. And Bangladesh's reject election outcome. Good evening. Several players of the Happy Valley football team are being questioned by the ICC in an investigation into allegations of match fixing. Sources say the ICC suspects the team's players from the mainland acted as middlemen to bribe other players to fix the matches. Jenny Lam reports. There was no consensus among those attending the first dinner meeting on political reform hosted by the Chief Secretary for Administration. 17 lawmakers participated in this evening's event at her residence on the Peak, but they remain split over how to nominate chief executive candidates and whether the nominating committee should have the power to screen out candidates. Sources said there was only one dining table. Still, despite the physical proximity allowed for by this arrangement, in the end there was no consensus.
While tonight's discussion is candid and direct, and in our view it's a very good start, but it's still quite a long way before we can achieve any consensus which would enable us to have at least 2/3 majority in the Legislative Council.
Among those invited were 7 Pan-Democrats and 10 lawmakers from the pro-establishment camp. Pan-Democrat Gary Fan left before the dinner's end, expressing dissatisfaction with the ongoing public consultation on constitutional reform. In the end, legislators described how the two opposing sides closed ranks over the most divisive issues, nomination methods for CE candidates, and whether or not there should be any form of a screening mechanism.
The differences lies in the nominating procedure. So whether there is screening process by the nominating committees, there are substantial differences among different members of the different factions of the electoral members.
And there's, of course, this is my standpoint. I think if the coming proposal that the government is trying to screening people, I think the government may not got enough support from the Democratic side, and they may be that proposal may be rejected.
Pro-establishment legislator Chan Yun-han said divisions over whether to have a screening mechanism or not were natural at this stage and expressed hope that eventually both sides will reach a consensus. The remaining 3 dinner meetings will be held later this month. A total of 66 Legislative Council members have accepted Carrie Lam's invitation. Businessman Ricky Wong played down worries over China Mobile's investigation into his deal with HKTV. He insists the deal was successfully concluded. As far as Hong Kong television chairman Ricky Wong is concerned, the purchase of China Mobile's local mobile spectrum is a done deal. Today, Wong said China Mobile's investigation into the sale is purely an internal matter of the company. The deal was announced on December 20th, with a new service expected in July. The move came after the Executive Council refused to grant HKTV a free-to-air television license last October. The company promised further details on its decision at the appropriate time in accordance with listing regulations. China Mobile Hong Kong Corporation is a state-owned asset of China Mobile. Any deal along these lines is subject to major scrutiny. First of all, Beijing has to approve the transfer of equity that may result in the state losing its holding position. Major issues of important subsidiary enterprises need to be reported to the authorities. Measures are formulated and then passed on to the State Council for approval. Ambrose Lau, a member of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference and former president of the Law Society of Hong Kong, says there are regulations in place to prevent the loss of state-owned assets. He says when company directors and managers don't go through with the necessary procedures for the sale of company assets, stakeholders who wish to protect their interests may challenge the effectiveness of such deals. Lau also says not all sales of state-owned assets need to be approved by the central government. He adds sales involving large sums or certain state-owned assets may need prior approval. The chief executive will deliver his second policy address next week, during which he is expected to increase the value of the elderly healthcare voucher and subsidize a certain cancer screening. Randy Santani reports. Bangladesh's ruling Awami League party has won one of the most violent elections in the country's history. But as Sonia Terror reports, many Bangladeshis are rejecting the outcome. Thousands are fleeing the cities of Fallujah and Ramadi in Iraq as government forces battle militants linked to the Al-Qaeda terror network. Here's Tony Sabine with the latest. The German Chancellor will be out of commission for at least 3 weeks. Her staff confirms Angela Merkel fractured her pelvis in a skiing accident. Technically, Merkel fell while skiing over Christmas vacation in Switzerland. While her official appointments are hereby cancelled, her staff insists she may work from home. In sports, Manchester United's season is bordering on disastrous after they were knocked out of the FA Cup by Swansea City 2-1. As Jameson Wong shows us, United was simply outplayed by the lower table Premiership side. And on to the weather. Conditions are shaping up to be cold in the morning but sunny intervals during the day. That's the news. Thanks for watching.